Hello, 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 everyone. That's a lot of hellos for Taco Tuesday or Turnaround Tuesday or whatever it is today. Good morning, Odie. Somebody read the live stream headline or the live stream title? Market stream is slowing down. We just don't have a great topic. I mean, we could go into one of those range bound days today. Let's see. We just don't have a major topping pattern besides losing momentum. I think something's going to have to trigger this. Is it going to be Google earnings tomorrow? I mean, Tesla's everything shrugs off Tesla, so that's not mattering. But good morning, Patrick. Good Jiu-Jitsu Tuesday morning. I thought that was on Wednesdays. Is it Tuesday is Jiu-Jitsu? I'm all confused, Sterling. If I'm glad you had a good Jiu-Jitsu, and thank you for putting in the earnings. Coke was a beat, but there are some misses on revenue. Lockheed Martin was beat. General Motors was a beat. There's a couple Was it RTX, Raytheon? There. See, that's what I thought. LMT, Lockheed Martin was a miss. But then you had a beat. I thought I saw a miss on earnings with Lockheed Martin. Good morning, Royal Palms. Yeah, Philip Morris was another. That's not Altera or MO. That's the old Philip Morris before they split off. That was a miss in revenue there. I thought Raytheon was a miss. Boy, what shows up sometimes across the things, I'm not going to comment on that. Because different sites have different things. And it should pretty much be standardized. And I wish we had standardized earnings. I hate these adjusted earnings. Can we just come up? Everything's adjusted now. Nobody does standardized earnings. Good morning, Anisa. D.R. Horton beat. Good morning, Dean. Again, I hope everybody's having a good week so far. Let's take a look. Powell was speaking, but it's not really about markets. It's about regulation. Red Book came in 5.1, just down 0.1% from prior. We have Richmond Fed, Manufacturing and Services Revenue Index coming up, and Bowman speaking. But it's a quiet day. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Rick. Oh, the places we go with expectations. So a very quiet day. We had chips selling off a bit more earlier, but bouncing back. You can see Philip Morris on their miss on revenue down close to 6%. Coke down slightly. They released also, which is a beat. I'm actually going to be looking for some potential long setups in Coke. There's Lockheed Martin down nearly 7.5%. There's Raytheon down, or now RTX. Sorry, I'm still going to call it Raytheon, but it's RTX down 1.36. Your mega caps, pretty much, besides Nvidia, they're up. Not a lot, but they are up. Quest Diagnostics was a beat. Northrop Grumman was a beat. There's Northrop Grumman. But another thing to realize is a lot of these earnings expectations have been really tamped down. So it's pretty easy to miss. That's why a miss on revenue is pretty shocking. Good morning, Martinez. All right, so going into the open, we have everything's leading except for consumer, defensive, and industrials and technology. But technology is only down 6 basis points. Fed watch, still 95% for the pause. This is interesting. September's only 54 to 43. I don't know what anybody really thinks we're doing a double cut. But if we rolled that into just a pause, it would be about 55 to 45. It's interesting. It's interesting to see. Remember, that is next week. Fear and greed, still out of extreme greed, but still solidly in greed. Schiller PE 38.45. We better have earnings through the roof, which we're not really seeing yet. We have Sterling listed them all. There it is. After the close, we have SAP. It's probably the biggest one. Texas Instruments. Capital One. Then tomorrow, GE Verona. Remember GE, you got GE Aerospace, GE Verona. AT&T, General Dynamics tomorrow morning. But really is going to start kicking off tomorrow afternoon. All right. So, For better, Coke, Panera Strawberry Basil Lemonade Fresca is the summer drink. Remember, Coke isn't just Coke. And aren't they going back to all cane sugar? Huh? Strawberry Basil Lemonade Fresca. That's a lot to order. Now, I get my iced teas. I'm in the Panera Sip Club. I get my iced teas there all the time, but I don't. Is that a sweetened drink? I assume it is. I tried something once years ago. It was like one of those infused caffeine things. I mean, I was like jittering for a week. Maybe that doesn't have it. But you found something you like at Panera. What sandwiches? Do you get sandwiches there, Rick? What's your go-to sandwich? I know what my go-to sandwich is. All right, separate from that, still grinding slowly higher yesterday, tapping out, just spiking through the 63.86 harmonic and then reversing. That's why I love these to raise stops and take partial profits. I love the harmonics, if you didn't know. 63.80 if we do, but this is species of headwinds, so we might go into a choppier day here. I'm keeping an eye on this, just tell you into the open. Keep an eye on this little trend line if we do roll over, but that is going into about 68.30. That's not a real breakdown. 68.30. You really got to start closing below this initiating point to really get into the clear path move. Technically, you can close below this low, but I'm watching for a close because this is coming into a key support area if we go into a choppier day. About 63.23 to 63.30 is a key support zone if we break down below this trend line. Other than that, in the real short term, let me take these off again because I'm not looking at those anymore. In the real short term, just on a bounce going in the open, I'm paying attention to 63.55, then 63.60. I'm using the harmonics. We get through 63.60. The next level is 63.64 and 63.69. And those are for short term only. For the longer term, still, if it continues to grind higher, buying everything, cycles are still rotating up. So we could easily see sideways to up still for a little bit more going into at least Tesla and Google earnings. 63.80, and then we have a major cluster at 64.28 area. The only thing, again, even if we pull back anywhere in the rotation zone, still watching for short-term rotation buys unless we get a momentum bar to the downside, which means probably something shocking happened. Okay? Or we start if we get pulled back and then close below the rotation zone, which is closing in on the very key support area, right around this 62, 65 area. So that's where we sit. I had messed up on, I think you meant KO, Coke, KO, and LMT. They had to report. I had to repost them. They were both meat miss. Thank you, Sterling. Thank you. I was making sure I wasn't going insane because sometimes I get it wrong. But I thank you for reposting them because I need to keep making sure I don't screw up and give the wrong information to people. Good morning, Mark. There was a nice 15-minute double top triggered on the NASDAQ right before the close yesterday that played out overnight. If anyone caught it, well, let's take a look at that now. And SIP Club is the best. I agree. SIP Club is the best. This was the double top Sterling was talking about. This is the double top right there. That was the double top that played out overnight. Again, you can always also use that for, okay, let's say you got long. Let's say you got long yesterday on the momentum in the open, and then you were still trailing out on here. Well, that could be a key sign going into the close. All right, maybe I need to take something off and wait for the bigger pullback. So that's how you can use these also. NASDAQ's trading against a little key mini level right now, by the way. I'm doing the same thing in the NASDAQ. Here are my key levels. Here's exactly what I'm watching for. pretty much. If we break below this trend line, this is short term only, about 23,240, and then major support back at 23,192 to about 23,200. That's what I'm looking at if we do pull back. If we pull back, Joe, in the open and hold this trend line, I'm watching for a key support right around 23.3, just right around that area. We're trying to break out above 23,335 area, and then if we do that and sustain into the open, again, we're also trading against this key harmonic, so we have a little cluster breakout right here, but above 23,345, 23,635, 23,384, 23,404. In the bigger picture, just grinding higher. If we take out yesterday's high, not necessarily today, but even tomorrow morning, 23,486 to 23,500. Now, if we want something above there, this is a pausing bar. Remember, all pausing bars don't have to be red. This is the next key thing. And the minor levels right now, we have to see if today's a pausing bar. A pausing bar, again, is a day that does not exceed the prior day's high. Prefer them to be red, but this is not necessary. This was a red bar, but it was not a pausing bar because it exceeded the prior day's high, so you cannot use harmonics from it. This is an example of a red pausing bar. This is another red pausing bar. And don't get too specific. I mean, you can come back here and say, well, should I have used these harmonics? So that was the first one. Though, should I update to here? I mean, look how close they are to each other. You're trying to find an area where you could have a reaction. You're not trying to pinpoint an exact high or low. Remember that with harmonics. You actually don't want the exact high or low. See, we shift to this pausing bar, and it did get the high. But again, it gives you an area to react to. So the next area, if you're using this, and you kept going higher, besides that 23, close to 23.5, 23.480 to 23.5, your next is 23.636. And then your major is 23,917. Again, same thing. On any bigger pullback, until we really break the rotation zone, I'm going to still be watching for rotation entries unless we get momentum bars to the downside. 200 calories for a large. Okay, with cane sugar. All right, at least it's cane sugar. The new steak sandwich, mozzarella or chipotle avocado melt. I do like I've tried the mozzarella one. Sorry for going off on the chipotle. I do like a good chipotle sandwich and an iced tea. I've tried it. Wasn't one of my favorites. But the chipotle avocado melt, I do like that a lot. And they tend to give pretty good servings of avocado on there. Avocado, really good, healthy fat. Really good, healthy fat. Coco, you're a gold bull now. Sorry to get sidetracked on food. Again, the Dow, very, very major level, right around 44,800. Cannot get anything besides very short-term micro stuff on the Dow unless it gets above 44,800. Dow, there's just not a lot of great setups, even on pullbacks right now. So I'm being patient on the Dow. Again, if the Dow does break higher and gets above that 44,800, I'm using the reverse harmonics first from here because we've done a nice pullback. And then I'm using the forward harmonics from this kilo. Okay, those are the two I'm using right now. But we're nowhere near breaking out yet. Also, Russell needs to really start getting above 2267 for me to get overly bullish. We might set up for something tomorrow. I'm being patient. The two I'm being really patient on are the Dow and the Russell so far until they can prove themselves. VIX, not much to talk about. Again, if we get momentum to the downside and we get above about 1775, Then I'll be patient. I'll start going for more of the breakdown plays. DAX. The DAX came and ended the double after only hitting the first target. Now, this is very telling for me. Why? We only hit the first target with a rotation zone and a double. So couldn't get beyond the first target, and now it looks this is trying to flatten out. So I'm going to be more so, especially if it closes below the rotation zone today, more neutral mode, watching for potential breakdown plays in the DAX on any rallies. The yields pulling back to a key support level. We could still see a little more drop in the yields, but I'm going to be watching for potential buy setups again in the yields. There's just not a great one yet. Nothing great yet. This is more of a channeling, trying to do a channeling double. If we did, I needed to sit and really pause here. I hate these one bar on their lower probability on the one bar, especially on the right side. If this were to take it out, it could form though into a stronger double, but so far this looks like it's a channeling double. I will pay attention to this bar's high if we do rally up above 4.391. I am being patient still because we could roll over a little more, and also we have mixed stuff, and we're back in the major consolidation area. Crude, by the way, crude never triggered the double, continued to pull back, and that is off the table. We are getting a cycle bottoms with potential %B buy setups against key support, so I'm going to be looking for those unless we break below the 64 level. I will be looking for potential short-term long bounce setups unless we break below 64. Gold, we just hit. Cocoa's to gold 4K, not going to disagree with Cocoa. In the short term, we still have to prove ourselves. We still have to get through some pretty key resistance. Remember, we had the %B buy, followed through yesterday and following through today. As I said, my targets 30, and these are for short-term moves, 34.19.9, so 34.20. Just took that out. Next target is 34.48 along the top of the channel. Getting overbought again, so that continues to follow through, but again, we have substantial resistance up here. That's why for short-term moves, I'm still looking to unwind stuff and raise stops. For longer-term moves, by the way, this double is pretty much off the table now. So, that never triggered or confirmed or anything. All right. What would be the major levels? Let's just put on, since Coco's in here, what would be the next major harmonics? The next majors. Look at that, 37.45 and 39.81. Is that close enough to 4K for you, Coco? Again, I'm still staying in bullish mode long term unless we start closing below the weekly rotation zone. I don't go against what the chart tells me, Coco. I'm all about the charts. I see some requests. Dollar index still watching for a key pullback, especially between the 50 and 62.5 harmonic, and then we'll look for rotation up setups again. If we close below 62.5, very patient on that. Euro, again, watching for topping bounce plays between the 62.5. If we close above the 62.5, we'll be patient because we could be setting up a potential double top pattern. Nothing yet in the yen, pulling back to a very key support area now. Let me just bump this down just a hair. See if this holds. If we close below the rotation zone and back below this support area and below the rotation zone, I'll be patient on the yen, waiting for a rotation back up because we could be pulling back a bit more. Spiders, again, eking out a high, poking through the harmonic and setting that up right there. You could just use your harmonics from yesterday's high to the pullback to this pullback low if you're looking for something. I'm not going to go through them all, but those are the harmonics I'd be using right there, especially paying attention to 629.94 in any rally. But first of all, I'd be using 629.54 and 629.94 and 630.34. We start breaking below yesterday's low. We still have a gap fill to 627.58. And key support is coming in just below that with the rising rotation zone about 626 to 626.55. Same difference with the harmonics coming, spiking up that. This, again, why I use them. And backing off, just a little gap down today. Use the same. Don't need to go through it. Your major support is back at right around 559. If we do roll over and take out yesterday's low, you still have a gap fill to 561.26. Bitcoin, still same thing. We've rotated back up. I need to get the breakout above. Sorry about that. There we go. I need to get the breakout above roughly 119,900, but just got to follow through with a close above 120. And then if we take out the highs, we're looking at 126,350 area. What else do we have? Let's see. AAPI for Royal Palms. AAPI. What is AAPI? I don't think I've ever looked at this. Leverage shares PLC index. I don't even know what this is. Test. What? I'd have to look at more at this, but just purely off the chart. Let's take a look. Purely off the chart. Ooh. Ooh. I mean, from the bullish side, again, 670 have to be a breakout play with a close above that, follow through close. Then look at the harmonics. Wow. Look at this. Look at the 37.5 right at the prior breakdown zone. First target for me. Second target, 200 and the 50 on any breakout play higher. Would not touch this in the short term. There could be a pullback play if it can hold 629 area. If it closes below that, wouldn't be touching it from the long side. So I'd either have a pullback play closer to the 629.25 area, 629, 630, low 630s. Would be looking for a pullback play breakout. Otherwise, or a break holding support right in here. Not a breakout. Otherwise, it would be 670 breakout play. If we close below 629, would not be interested in this on the long side in the short term. But that's very key. Look at those spike highs at the 37.5 with a breakdown prior. That would be a great first target if it can sustain above 670. Now, if I were going to do let's say this breaks back down and I'd especially be watching maybe for a % buy bar down here or something, then my first target would be up around 670 on any buy down here. And then it would be this 699 area. CRWV. CRWV. Core Weaver. Looks like this thing's trying to break down. But, again, it has a valid double. So, it's again, the rotation zone would be out of the way, but a longer term, that's the only thing based off this pattern. Because this thing could easily return down more. So, I would not be bullish unless it's double triggered. And personally, if this thing breaks down, I'd be looking at the 110 area for the next potential bounce play. Is that serious? Kane? I've never looked at Kane either. Sugar Fund ETV. Huh. I've actually never looked at that. Well, I prefer cane sugar from ultimate artificial sweeteners, but that is interesting. That is interesting. Never looked at cane. Huh. Let's do a little quick analysis right here. On the longer term harmonics. Wow. Man, I could really look for a potential bounce entry right around this 1021 area. That's where I'd be focused. You got some that'd be interesting. You got a really nice area down there. That could be interesting for a potential long setup. There's your weekly. Your daily. It's tried to break down, little pop up, but again, I'd be still watching for, unless it could get above this rotation zone, I'd be still looking for further downside. That'd be interesting. Right around, I might set an alert there. I'm going to set an alert there. Right around here. I don't want that. I want an alert. Give me an alert. There, that's close enough. Yeah, there are lots of divergences on gold on the weekly chart. Apple. Again, it's still getting rejected. What I need to see, because Bob's been keen on Apple also, but I need to see it. Yet it's tried to break above this level multiple times. I need to sustain here. And here's my other problem. Here's my other challenge taking a short-term thing with Apple. Still, it's highly overvalued. We got the overhead 200. I've been looking at this because I was trying to structure a play, and I can't get reward to risk. I'd have to keep a really, really, really tight stop. And, and it hasn't been able to sustain anything above this 214 area. Upper 213s, it keeps getting price rejected. It could be if it can sustain something and do a breakout momentum, then it's got the target, and I've been looking at this a lot, around 222, 222.50. But for a more medium to longer term play, I can't structure anything unless I did a intraday breakout play that launched on momentum, and then I could raise something going into the 200. And by the way, you still have a gap fill up here too, right around this harmonic, this significant level, and you still have a gap fill just above the 200. I have not gone through Tesla. I've not gone through Tesla. Tesla's got earnings tomorrow. I'm still looking on any rally for some short setups. Just don't have a good one yet. We are getting to cycle tops. Yeah, very key. It's in no man's land right now. I mean, it's against some minor resistance right here. You got a minor, you had the support level turning into resistance, pop above it, but now it's trading against there now. If it were to break above here, the next key target for me I would not be trading it, but it'd be the 350 area. There's just not, sometimes there aren't great setups, but that's the only thing. Above there would be a quick little breakout going into earnings. Other than that, I'm watching for rollover plays. You think gold will hit 3,500 this week? Okay. What Bitcoin is about to do, I already put my next targets. I already said what I was doing in Bitcoin, what I was looking at. Above this key level, which is also harmonic, minor target, the recent highs, then I'm looking at the 126,350 to 127,730, then close to 130. BBAI has set up a potential daily double top, so it's entering the It does have a potential double top against the 75% harmonic. That is valid. Completely valid. Some of these valuations get. I mean, this doesn't even have a valuation because it doesn't make any. It doesn't make money. But that's what you have there. Good morning, Heinrich. How are you today? Thank you for tuning in. All right, that's about it. That is about it. I guess we went over into the open, but there's not much going on. We got the NASDAQ, the Dow pulling back. Again, if I can get the charts to look right, I still have that same little trend line here. Guess if we were to bounce, we could have a potential. It would need a bounce, or if we sell off, make another thing here, and then we could get a nice head and shoulders pattern. We just don't have it properly formed yet. So that's something else I'll be watching for if it sets up, if we form it today. Remember, we could break this trend line, come back in this key support, and then make more of a horizontal neckline, head and shoulder. NASDAQ, again, I'm still watching these very key trend lines. Very key trend lines. That's the only thing I'll start watching for, the slightly bigger pullback. And we could turn into that choppier day today. So I'm pretty much 23,335 for breakouts or breakdowns below 23.75. I'm still looking. Those are support and resistance levels. No, it's not a good premium selling environment right now. Wouldn't be selling a lot of premium. Ted tuned in and lurking in the back. Well, why are you lurking there, Ted? You're welcome, Mark. I'm glad you're doing well, Heinrich. All right, everyone. Today I'm leaning the side of don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid. We don't have a lot of key earnings after the close. We got tomorrow really launches stuff after the close. We don't have anything major. We have Richmond Fed. You know, the market still is trying to grind higher on any minor pullbacks. So I'm just not, there's nothing for me to do from the short side yet. So I'm just looking, and if it's long, it's short-term longs only, just bounce plays only. That pretty much sums it up. So with that, I'm more focused on some of the metals, like still gold to the upside. Other than that, dollar still pause, pull back, looking for setups in some of these. We can look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA starting to pull back. We'll be looking to see if we get any shorter-term bounce patterns in here, especially against the high from Friday with that 4-hour rotation zone. Other than that, very patient. So I shall talk to everyone later. Hey, you're welcome, Jake. Talk to everyone tomorrow morning. Bye for now.